Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
September 19th, 2011 marks 4 years of broadcasting for the Global Reality Show. In that time, we've exposed many important and invaluable pieces of information concerning the global power structure, hidden and occult text, ancient archaeology, secret societies, ETs, the priest class, and so much more. With no outside funding, sponsors, or advertisement, this places all the well-being of our work and research into the hands of people like you. In order to continue our work and to make it bigger and better, the Global Reality is having a 4-year anniversary fundraiser to take our quest of information critical mass to a new and before unseen level. Unfortunately, technology becomes aged and not much is left after paying operating costs each month. This is a very critical time to reach people, and with your financial support, we can redouble our efforts. Please visit www.theglobalreality.com today and make a safe and secure donation using our chip and banner or PayPal donate button at the site. Why give your support to a phony political stooge when you can support real underground media by the people? I'm Josh Reeves, and this is the Global Reality Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Monday, September 12th into Tuesday, September the 13th, 2011. And we are live here for you tonight for another edition of the broadcast. We're going to be getting into the day's news and all the news that's come out over the weekend. And we will also be continuing in our reading from the Lost Book of Enki. We're going to be picking up where we left off last week. And last week we got into some very interesting stuff and really getting to the heart of all of this. And it's amazing how many places, I don't know if you guys have noticed this out there, but after reading this and reading on here with all of you, I'm staggered at the amount of I just see this stuff everywhere. It's in everything. The archetypes are there. I mean, it's in tons of movies. It's just all over the place. So it's a rather amazing thing. And so tonight we're going to be picking up where we left off last week, reading from there as well. Don't know if we have any emails. We'll get into whatever emails that we have tonight as well. I don't know if we have any. I'll see if we do. But we'd love to have emails from you as well here tonight on the show. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. You can send those in there, and I will be happy to read those on air, answer your questions, or anything else for you here tonight on the broadcast. My website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. The links to listen to the stream are there. The archives for the shows there if you missed one. By the way, if you didn't hear the show on Friday, we hadn't had shows on Friday in a while. We did have a show last Friday, and if you didn't hear that, definitely go and check that show out because I think there was some good info in there. And all of the shows of the past few weeks I think have been good, but definitely go check that one out. If you didn't hear the Friday night broadcast, I don't know, some of you may have missed that since you're not used to checking. See, there's shows on Friday, so I just want to let you know that is definitely there. And you can go and find that and listen to it. We also have a new edition, which I released. I've kind of been keeping this a secret, working on it on the side between working on Secret Ride Volume 2. But I released it's an internet-only thing. We're not going to be doing DVDs of this or anything, but I released a new 10-year anniversary edition of 9/11, my first film, 9/11 New World Rising. That's up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. We'll get that on the website up there as well at legaloreality.com. I don't know if Manhider's done it yet, but I hadn't checked. But we'll get that up there. It's a first time the movie has been first time the movie's been available in high definition. It also features a new remastered audio track on there as well, and it's up there. It's on the website. I think it's far superior to the other versions we've had up online up to this point. And plus, I also put a little note in there at the beginning of the film, a little note from the director for me, just stating my views for the record, for the future on 9/11 and what I think about that whole thing in the time and since I made that movie. My viewpoints on 9/11 have changed, although I still think that, it's an important subject and it's an important thing to find out, but it is one of the many, many things that they've done. And number one, if you get sidetracked on their one thing they do, you're not going to see the rest of the stuff they're doing. I think that's happened quite a bit. I think that's been a byproduct. And, some would say by design, and I would say, I would probably have to agree with that. That the whole 9/11 Truth Movement was designed 100% to get people to focus on that one issue, so they didn't dig deeper and get into the deeper elements of it and see how much, how far 9/11 connects to the whole grand scope, grand picture of things. And I think that they succeeded in that to a great extent. I think they failed in that to a great extent. But that's collateral damage for them. That's acceptable. But I just wanted people to know that, I feel that 9/11 is going to be continue to be used to demonize the United States of America, to make us the rest of the world. They're going to come out with all of it. It's going to be the government-approved, Pentagon-approved version of 9/11 truth. Kind of like Oliver Stone's JFK, which was based on, Jim Marr's Crossfire, which was, the book that woke me up. But what I'm finding now, and some of this information we're going to have in the Secret Ride Volume 2, it just blows my mind for there to have been up to this point no mentioning by Jim Marrs or any of these other supposed JFK researchers. See, that's a problem with me. I'm that one little percent that they weren't ever counting on. Because, a lot of researchers, like I do, will tell you to do your own research. And then most people don't. I'm one of those few people that actually went and did their own research, and come to find out I found things that the supposed truth tellers were not telling. And that is the connections to the Kennedy assassination with the highest levels of what was then their version of the secret right, the prototype secret right. And it connects back all the way through the Knights of Malta to the Jesuits, to the priest class. But nary mention of that in any of the intelligentsia improved JFK conspiracy books or movies. I mean, it's unbelievable, the connections. So I want to be clear about that to people, and I want people to know that I'm not just one of these 9/11 truthers, 9/11 conspiracy people. I was at the time when I made that movie, but I subsequently do not consider myself part of any of those movements or part of, the truth movement or any of that stuff. I'm just an individual, one individual person that's not a member of any kind of a group that just wants to know. That's my thing. I'm doing this, and this is what I'm going to be doing, whether you're listening or not. If you choose to listen, then you choose to listen to, what's happening with me and where I'm going and researching this stuff. Because I feel that we have made, I say we, those of you who listen all the time would undoubtedly have to feel the same way. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be listening all the time like you do. But I feel undoubtedly for me that I do feel like this is getting somewhere. I never felt like I was getting anywhere in research and in doing this when I was following the Jones Patriot Truth paradigm. It just felt like you were spinning your wheels over and over again and fighting an uphill battle. But as a result of doing this show now for 4 years, when you do a show, you can't just get off of your game. You have to constantly stay nose to the grindstone, researching and hounding out news and looking at different pieces of information and ferreting out new things and finding new connections. You have no choice. You have to do it. That's what you do. And that's the decision I made a couple of years ago, decided this is what I want to do, and this is what I was put here on this earth to do. It is my calling. It's not just something this is what I do. Those of you out there that don't understand me and the way I put this information forward and the way I talk and the way I emphasize things and where I come from this, that's what you need to know about me. Is that this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So the reason I'm passionate and over the top and just so obsessed with this is because the fruits of doing it have come in my understanding growing. They don't come in monetary gain. I get barely enough to do what I need to do. And, we're not doing very well on our fundraiser this month to buy up new equipment. But that's the only possessions I have. The only thing I have that I even own or is the equipment that I use to do what I do, whether it be the radio show or playing in the band, the Demigods, because that's an extension of this, because we talk about this type of stuff in our music and, try to talk to people about this stuff at shows and reference stuff on stage and things like that. So, that's, besides that, that's what I own. I mean, they're my tools. And if, when your tools wear out and you have to have new ones, that's, but that's the whole thing for me is that, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And my rewards come in the fact that every day I get new information that just proves what I'm believing and what I'm looking at more and more. CMP stuff. I mean, this is the third time this has happened to me because this is the third full-length film I've made. And I say this every time when I'm getting close to being done with a film. Well, last time, I think the first time I said it, I had just started on radio. And then the second time I said it, I just put out the Secret Right Volume 2. I was just about to put out the Secret Right Volume 1, rather. And so now I'm getting ready to put out the Secret Right Volume 2. It's still happening because I'm still working on stuff. I'm still finding stuff. And from the results of making these films, I've learned more in the process of making the films than I made not making a film. I mean, you understand what I'm trying to say? The process of making it, I don't know what happens. It's like magic happens. It's like all of a sudden things, you wouldn't believe the new stuff that I found. Some I hadn't even told you guys about yet. I tried to go and I was going to try and go last night, but I didn't have enough money. I tried to get some funds together to do it, but didn't get anything in. But I was going to go up to Denton last night because there was a CMP member in town Crazy, hey, but that's how it goes. Pat Boone. He's a CMP member. I saw this clip one time I think it was a CMP meeting this was at. Poppy Bush and Reverend Sun Young Moon and Pat Boone, a bunch of clowns like that were there. It was the gayest thing I've ever seen in my life. Pat Boone walks down off the stage over to Reverend Sun Young Moon and says, "Now I think it's time for Boone to meet Moon." And you're like, oh my goodness. Yeah, we always knew there was something going on with Pat Boone, didn't we? He's a total right-wing fucking nut, dude. Totally. He's a CMP member. There's something going on. I always knew there was something going on with that guy that was weird. I'll tell you some new info. CMP style. I'll give you a little taste. I ain't gonna give you all of it because I've kept a lot of stuff back for this film because I didn't want people to just watch it and hear the same stuff. You know, a lot of it you've heard me say on the show before, but all in one package, I think is going to be that's going to be very interesting. Oh, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Oh my God, the shit in this ad. You guys are going to do it yourself. You're going to deposit to go wipe. I'm telling you. I did find something I thought was interesting. I can tell you this. I definitely know beyond any shadow of a doubt what the Republican ticket is going to be. President and vice president, and beyond any shadow of a doubt, I think it's going to be Rick Perry and Florida Governor Rick Scott. Now, tell me this isn't interesting. Now, this article here was published on May 19th of this year. That was, of course, the day before my father passed away, and he had been in the hospital for a month before he passed away. And those of you that were listening to the show around that time will know, I didn't do very many shows during that time, and the shows I did do, I was just not really there. So I find this very interesting. And then to find out another piece of information that ties in with that. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but for somebody like me who really, honest to God, does not believe in coincidences at all anymore, everything I've ever seen, that's coincidence. It turns around. That's not a coincidence. But I don't know. I just remember, because during that time, my dad was about to die. That was fucking heavy for me. It still is. I'm not just one of those people that just gets over shit, I may put on a brave face and get up here and slap on a fucking smile and plow through this shit one more time for you, in the words of Bill Hicks, but, it's not always easy. But during that time, I was not really into the vibe of doing the show and all that stuff. It was more something I'm just doing because, I had to do it or whatever. But, just the day before my father passed away, the Orlando Sentinel ran this story, and any other time, folks, any other goddamn time, you know me, any other time, and I'm just now hearing about this. This is another thing that pisses me off. I mean, no offense out there, but if you guys really are not doing your homework on your own good enough to have caught this and then and told me about it, that worries me, man. That tells me you guys aren't doing your homework. I just find it hard to believe that nobody caught this or brought this to my attention until now when I found this out on my own. May 19, 2011, Orlando Sentinel. Scott to meet with controversial Council for National Policy. A mantra from the young administration of Governor Rick Scott is the phrase, "Let's get to work," a credo the rookie governor plans to follow on Friday. Just not in Florida, and not necessarily for everyone in his home state, and likely not in keeping with Florida's emphasis on transparency. On Scott's agenda, released tonight, is a meeting at a Ritz-Carlton in Northern Virginia with the Council for National Policy, a group of conservative leaders that describes itself as a defender of limited government, a strong military, and Judeo-Christian values. The group also has a reputation for secrecy, rarely making its meetings public and generally keeping quiet about its membership. On its website, however, it does publish some guest speeches and remarks, which the group notes should not be construed as the views of the Council for National Policy. Among the more recent, Mossab Hassan Youssef, author of Son of Hamas and a Christian convert, on the topic of Islam, can we coexist? And that's a piece of work right there. You should definitely go and read that. That's a real piece of work. So Rick Scott of Florida goes to the CMP meeting. By the way, I'll put a link to that in the chat room. By the way, they had the meetings run 3 days. They run Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We do know that about the meeting. So, I was just, like I said, any other time I would have caught that. And, like I said, it kind of worries me that none of you out there caught that and brought that to my attention because, that means you guys aren't ferreting out your own info and pay attention to this stuff. And, that's kind of the point. So they had a CMP meeting the weekend that my dad died. And, the funny thing about that is that this is the first time in a couple of years I've even seen forewarning they were going to have one. Had I not been preoccupied with that, I probably would have been able to, get to work on this and maybe find out where it was going to be and show up there or something. But we very rarely get an opportunity like this to get in it, I mean, they said right here, the meeting's going on this weekend, and it's going on at a Ritz-Carlton in Northern Virginia. That ain't going to be hard to go find. And that's my whole thing is, all we need is somebody that can go with a high-powered camera, with a big lens with a good zoom, that can sit in the area of the parking lot or the parking garage or wherever else and just see who comes in and out and snap pictures. I can't believe nobody out there has tried to do that yet. Well, with, as many years now as this information's been out there. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're not paying attention to stuff every day, go to news sites, go to different things on a daily basis, weekly basis, and just search for news under Council for National Policy or something like that, or Jesuits or Knights of Malta. You'll be surprised what you'll find. But enough people aren't doing that, and they're expecting people like myself and other people that aggregate the news every day to do this. And I'm just telling you that worries me. I know that we've been programmed to be apathetic to everything and just, oh, fuck it, man, don't matter anyway. We've got to die sometime. I understand we've been programmed that way, but these issues and what we talk about here and the things we get to on this show are the one thing in your life that you should never treat apathetically. It's not a game. It's not a drill. This is the real thing. I mean, we had mass casualty drills going on in North Texas here yesterday on 9/11, and literally the guys, it was Air Force. It was massive, mass disaster, mass casualty drill, and it literally says in the article. I don't think I have it up here on my page. I think I've got it somewhere else. I can probably find it, but they're doing this on 9/11. It literally says in this article, a little bit later on, we realized, hey, that's 9/11 weekend, said Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Snelling of the 90th Aviation Support Battalion. And then we thought, well, what a perfect time to showcase where we've been and how we've progressed over 10 years since the event. Oh, what a better time to have a mass casualty drill relating to a terrorist attack while people are in fear of another one happening. Folks, I'm here to tell you right now, yesterday, 9/11, the 10th anniversary of 9/11, was a massive drill. The entire day was a massive drill staged in one day using the heightened threat of Al-Qaeda and all this other horse shit that they concocted so they could use the energy of everyone's fear of something happening and recalling that trauma-based mind control energy. They used that energy to feed a massive drill yesterday. So maybe they didn't pull off another 9/11 on that day, or maybe they didn't, fly some more airplanes into the buildings. But let it be known that they did engage in magical ritual yesterday, and they did this on a massive scale, and they used every single person's energy out there who was feeling, emotion about 9/11, remembering that energy. They harnessed it and used it. And guess what happened in the middle of while they were having these mass casualty drills here in North Texas, just on the other side of the Fort Worth? Oh, guess what? They happened to have a giant earthquake. Oh, yeah. Right in the middle while they happen to have these drills going on. First, it registered 4.4, was felt as far away as Lubbock to Fort Worth, which is a long way if you're not from Texas. Probably the length across your entire state, wherever you live, if you don't live in Texas. But, so then they changed it later to 4.8 and said it went to 4.8 on the Richter scale, but it happened right in the area of where this massive drill was going on. Earlier this year, the Army Reserve heard the Air Force Reserve was planning a training exercise. They offered a 200-acre Army Reserve facility in White Settlement as a site for the exercise. White Settlement, that's an interesting place because there's been some hubbub about the name over the past several years because they've been trying to get them to rename it because they say it's racist. White Settlement, because it was, when it was settled, back in the olden days, that's what it was called. Well, that's racist. We need to call it all color settlement. Yes. So they were having this 300 reservists, 300 first responders, 600 total people, looking for upwards of 80 casualties from a terrorist attack while this is going on. And there were other drills happening yesterday. We had another one here in Dallas. Security scare closed DFW's Terminal B temporarily. An unattended rental truck loaded with pyrotechnics for the cable TV show Sons of Guns caused some tense moments at Dallas's Fort Worth International Airport Sunday. So they used this TV show to stage a mock drill. And now they're just going on the news here and saying, oh, the TV producer says it was a colossal error in judgment. Oh, my goodness. My colossal error in judgment just happened to give the police and the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA and all of them a great excuse to do a massive drill at an airport on 9/11 as all these other simultaneous things are going on. I mean, there was... there was something like, I don't know how many, let me see, I'll find it. I'll find the official numbers. How many was it again? Oh, now I can't find it. But there was something like a couple of hundred. Oh, here it is. 342 reports of suspicious packages in New York City over the weekend. 342 reports of suspicious packages. They deployed NORAD, and NORAD actually worked on a plane that was going from L.A. to New York on 9/11. Turns out it was two people joining the Mile High Club, getting their fuck on in the bathroom. I mean, it was just out of control yesterday. While the 10th anniversary of 9/11 passed without an attack, here at home security in New York remains ramped up. Sources say ramped up security in New York City will last for the week. Well, I got news for you. It's going to last longer than that. Why do you think they have these drills? Because what they do is they up the alert, they up the threat level, they allocate more funds to each city from the Department of Homeland Security, which enables them to pay for there to be more boots on the ground. And then the public thinks that, well, it's just ramped up, and then once it's not ramped up anymore, we'll go back down to that normal level. No, that's not how it happens. Once they elevate up to that level of police and law enforcement and military and everything else, they don't bring it back down just because they think that's their pretext. And that's what this is given them. I called it when they had the Super Bowl here earlier this year. That you watch what they were going to do, because they got the city of Dallas and Arlington got all this money. They were running all kinds of drills for terrorist attacks for the Super Bowl here. They shut down downtown Dallas one night. It was insane. But the city of Arlington, where Jerry World Stadium is located, in the suburbs of Dallas, they brought in all these, FEMA and Department of Homeland Security drones, helicopters, got all this, big grants from Homeland Security for all this technology for added security for the Super Bowl. And I said, you watch, this stuff's not going to leave here once the Super Bowl goes. They're doing this and raising this. The reason they had the Super Bowl in Dallas was so they could raise the amount of law enforcement, boots on the ground, and the amount of technology here, and use the Super Bowl as a front to have the technology installed. And boy, I was right. They ran articles all through this year saying, oh yeah, all that stuff we had from the Super Bowl, it's staying around after all. Remote pilotless helicopters with cameras and all this stuff. Vehicle checkpoint set up after what authorities described as a specific, credible, but unconfirmed threat remained in place Monday. There you go. They're not going to be going away anytime soon. Joe Russo of T&M Protection Resources is a former Secret Service agent who believes the security could remain the same for a while longer. The security coverage that you see out here will probably be out here for as long as it takes, or until they prove this thing one way or the other. Some people are under the impression that such heightened security stops would be over by Monday. However, police sources told CBS 2 that will continue through much of the week. We were in a taxi and we got pulled over, said Marv Williams, a tourist from Los Angeles. They checked the trunk. Who cares? I think it's good. Yeah, I bet you do, slave. Oh, it's good. No, search me. No, here, I want to show you my papers, Mr. SS Gestapo. Yeah. No, I love it. I love being a slave. Are you kidding? This is this is wonderful. We get super food. We get to see super movies. We wear great clothes. We have all these gadgets. It's fucking great. No, here, check me. Search my car. Look in my pockets. No, I don't mind not being free. It's great with me. Okay, there you go. All right, well, you have a good day, sir. You continue not being free with me and you enjoy yourself too. That's what we've been reduced to. Oh, no, it's great. Look at my shit. I don't care. You ain't got nothing to hide. Why do you care? The next time somebody says that to you, punch them in the teeth directly. It's not about whether you have anything to hide or not. It's about not being searched and having your shit gone through for no apparent reason when you haven't done anything and you're not suspected of a crime. Period. End of story. We've been so propagandized and so lied to and so brainwashed that we believe that it's the patriotic American thing to do to give up the right for them to detain you unlawfully. That's what makes you patriotic? Well, I would have already called myself patriotic before, but god damn, now, woo! Unbelievable stuff. So I'm convinced 100%, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that, and you can look more into this for yourself. Look how many terror threats or terror suspected things happened yesterday. There was all these stories. They grounded all kinds of planes. John Doe in the chat room said he didn't notice a lot of planes yesterday. There was not until in the evening. But it was a massive ritual. And just as I have described many times here on the show, the idea of how they single-handedly on the day of 9/11 got every single one of us for a moment to have the same response and feeling about the images we were seeing on the screen, with planes flying into the building and all this stuff. And that energy is what fed the ritual and allowed it to take place properly. This time they had everybody, because they've been pumping it up in the media everywhere you turn, on the TV, on every channel. It's all been 9/11 stuff. It's been everywhere. Even if you don't watch TV and you don't listen to the radio, you've seen it somewhere. They were trying to recall that emotion, recall those feelings, so they could take advantage of it again and run a massive drill yesterday. And they did it. What a better time. They had to have a pretext to run these drills, just like they have to have a pretext to run these ops and these phony bombings and false flags and whatever else you have. They have to have a pretext for that. Oh, man, it's just out of control. Let's see what else we have here on the broadcast tonight to talk about. And another thing that I discovered as well, I mentioned earlier, Rick Perry and Rick Scott. I mentioned Rick Scott being going to that CMP meeting. Well, guess who else attended that meeting? Got it. Mr. Rick Perry. Here's an article from the New York Times from the Washington Times that I found. This was printed back in June 19th of this year. Bachmann generates buzz. Perry fails big expectations at GOP event. Pawlenty and Romney are AWOL. And you scroll down in this article, and it says, Rick thought he needed to be scripted rather than just speak from the heart, as he always has in the past, says Texas Republican National Committee member Bill Crocker, acknowledging what others who saw Mr. Perry excite audiences at the Conservative Political Action Conference and the Council for National Policy earlier this year said was a stiffness to the address. So, whoever this gentleman is, Bill Crocker of the Texas Republican National Committee, you can probably find his home address and whatever have you online. I would send that man a fruit basket. Somebody out there, please send that man a fruit basket, send him a free hand job, something. But Texas Republican National Committee member Bill Crocker, you are our global reality hero of the week for being a member of the Texas Republican National Committee, Bill Crocker, and being dumb enough to open your mouth in the news with me paying attention to it and mention seeing Perry address the Council for National Policy. Thank you. Boy, I bet the boys in the group are not going to be happy about that, though. Because see, I'm gonna make a big deal out of it now. See, that's how it works. Yeah, and Bill, I'm serious, Bill, you're a hero. Thank you for opening your mouth. Thank you for letting us know Perry was there. See, people ask me all the time, is Rick Perry Council for National Policy? Is he involved with them? And I have to say, well, because I don't have a current membership list, I can't say yes or no. But look at his connections, look at what he says, look at what he does, and you judge for yourself whether or not he's a member or not. Well, there you go. So I think with that said, I think it's possible we may see a Rick Perry and Rick Scott ticket, the Rick ticket. We're going to get fucking Rick rolled straight up. It's going to bring new meaning to the term Rick rolled. The Rick double stick. Texas and Florida. Oh, Jesus. It doesn't get any dirtier than that. Ugh. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Oh, here, I'll drop that article in there where it says Perry address the group. Go through my stack here. Let's see what else I have. Venezuela's Chavez turns to shamans to fight cancer. Shamans from tribes in Venezuela's Amazon jungle held a ceremony at the Miraflores presidential palace Saturday to help Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez recover from his cancer treatment. Yeah, he'll probably beat it now. Chavez, who insists that he was not sick but recovering from cancer, greeted the shamans wearing a tracksuit in the colors of the Venezuelan national flag and wore a crown of feathers that the visitors gave him. Members of Yekuana, GV, and Weu communities danced, sang, and prayed as they invoked their ancestor to protect the Venezuelan leader. The ritual was aimed at protecting Chavez against enemies and bad health. This is one thing I have to say about Chavez. The cancer was removed in the power of the God and of the gods. And he says the power of God and all the gods. I mean, that's an interesting statement for, most leaders of most countries don't reference multiple gods. It's pretty strictly spoken, I think, in the, Illuminati New World Order handbook that, you have to promote monotheism at all times. But I have to say this, about Chavez, though, like him or don't like him, I tend to think he's a stooge, a New World Order stooge as much as anybody else is, but man, sometimes I have my doubts. Sometimes I have my doubts. I don't know. But you know what? Regardless of that, I do have to say this. I think that good on him for at least doing his voodoo ritual magic or whatever this was that he did. Good on him for doing it in public and it being in the news. These other ass clowns, they have to go into the Bohemian Grove and do it behind closed doors and run around with men with, fairy outfits on, wing outfits on. It's just, that's the goddamn faggotiest place you've ever seen in your life. Oh, thank you, Nixon. That's actually a direct quote, by the way. He actually really did say that. I don't want people getting mad, think I'm just, dropping fag bombs or something, but no, he really did say that. Oh my God. But really, I mean, hey, at least he's doing it out in the open where everybody can see it. He's not hiding it like these other clowns. I've been to my wit's end over the past couple of weeks to months at, goddamn, every week and every day, how many stories we've had about the moon. Have you guys noticed that? I mean, there's literally been like 20 or 30 stories a week about the moon. Questions about the moon, how to get there, what's it made out of? Why is everybody so fucking obsessed with the moon all of a sudden right after, Obama says we can't get back to the moon until 2020, and now we're going to blow it up and find water and blah, blah, blah. And, in our reading from the Lost Book of Enki, it talks about the moon several times in there. And during one of the times it talks about, I think, Enki and Marduk going and being on the moon for a period of time. And then we found out recently that Marduk was Ra, and he was also Quetzalcoatl. Now, it talked about this bright, shining object buried under the ground. We talked about that last week when we read out of the Lost Book of Enki. We talked about this bright, shining object under the ground and how wherever this bright, shining object is, this gate to heaven, from heaven to earth, could be open. A stargate, a portal, a wormhole, an Einstein-Rosen bridge, whatever you want to call it. And coincidentally enough, if you haven't seen the new Thor movie, I think it comes out on DVD soon, but you can probably get it on the torrents out there. But not a great movie. But I tell you what, boy, it had some stuff in it. Some straight up Anunnaki related stuff. Watch another movie I hadn't seen. I watched it tonight. That Roland Emmerich film, 10,000 BC. Boy, that was laden with. I mean, it was just laden with stuff straight out of the Sumerian text, straight out of stuff we've been reading recently. It blew my mind to watch that film. And with all this stuff about the moon and the hunting for the antiquities and all of these shows going on, like Legend Quest, where, you know, they're going to look for these artifacts, like the Ark of the Covenant, never finding it. And they were talking about, you know, the Anunnaki setting up their base on the moon. And we had talked about that movie with Jim Carrey, The Truman Show, where, you know, they're running their base on the moon. The whole base of operations running The Truman Show is on the moon. And all this moon stuff, I said, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if the Ark of the Covenant is on the moon. And that what they've been looking for since after 9/11, since the invasion in 2003, we've heard rumors coming out that that's what these cylinder seals and tags and things they stole from the museum actually had, was instructions on how to construct this thing and build it. And the power source to turn it on is what they don't have yet. And then I read this. NASA is to launch Thursday. This happened last Thursday, September 8th. NASA is to launch Thursday a $500 million pair of unmanned spacecraft that will chase each other around the moon as they use gravity tools to map its inner core for the first time. NASA's retiring their space station. They're retiring all this stuff. They're basically going into mothballs, yet all the money's going towards flying stuff around the moon. But did you hear just what it said? They're going to use gravity tools to map its inner core for the first time. So there's all this looking at the inside of the moon and under the ground of the moon. And we've seen tracks on the moon that, you know, you look at different pictures from different time periods and these tracks have moved around. I mean, could they be looking for the Ark of the Covenant to open up this wormhole, this Stargate, the power source? Could they be looking for it on the moon because that's where the Anunnaki took it and left it? Listen to this. The name of these two spaceships are called the Grail. Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory Mission. Grail. Two spaceships, both called the Grail. Coincidence? Okay. You think it's a coincidence that Blackwater names their Humvees and tanks the Templar 1, the Crusader 2? You see the pattern here? I mean, that right there lets you know 100% what we already know, and that is that NASA is an extension of the priest class. Grail, Templar, that's a Templar reference. How many Freemasons have we had in NASA? In the space program? I mean, whether you think they went to the moon or they didn't go to the moon, regardless of that, either they did it on the fake moon or they did it on the real moon, regardless of what moon they did it on. But they did a Masonic ritual on a moon, whether it was a moon in a studio or a moon that up there in the sky that they went to using more advanced technology than they could show us. I don't know. But either way, and they declared the moon to be the property of the Grand Master of all Freemasonry at the time. Declared the moon for the Freemasons. Now, let me ask you something, folks. Now, again, whether or not you think they went to the moon or they didn't, I think the evidence is voluminous that they absolutely didn't go to the moon. Nor what they showed us in that, well, I think there's information that they did go to the moon, but information that what they showed us, that there was definitely fakery going on and staging going on, that they showed TV fakery. That's what they showed us. But regardless of that, even if we couldn't get to the moon, so they had to fake in the studio to make it look like we did, what would be the purpose of declaring the moon the property of the Grand Master of all Freemasonry? Give up? If the moon becomes the property of the Grand Master of Freemasonry, that means that anything that is there, who set up Freemasonry again? The Templars, right? See where I'm getting at here? So if they declared the moon to be the property of the Freemasons, That means that when they send the spaceships called the Grail, yet again, another Templar reference for you there. Again, who started Masonry? Templars. We'll look at the history of Freemasons and NASA, folks. That would mean that these boys who are involved in this stuff and that have these connections with the priest class and Templars, this is money. Big old money, bloodline money. They are the ones that have the money and the pull to put the rest of NASA in mothballs while putting funding behind sending their spacecraft to find the Ark of the Covenant or other things, reclaiming that for the Knights, Templars, their forefathers, and their order, ladies and gentlemen. You need to get this show out to people with that information I just told you about right now. People need to hear that. Probably not going to see that on Ancient Aliens this week. Probably not. I'm putting it out. I'm putting it out first. I haven't heard anybody else say that. I haven't heard anybody else speculate that. So I'm going to put it on the record right now. I believe it'll be on a shadow of a doubt. This is directly connected to these Templar Masons, and they are sending this up there to try and get that power source. They can take it back to their. I think that's what's going on. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh yeah, there's a lot in that movie. Yeah, the Stargate movie. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that. Let's see here. I don't know if I have any. I don't think I have any other real important news here tonight. I'm ready to get into to reading more about the Lost Book of Enki, though, after that. So, wow, incredible. That explains a lot. That explains why they haven't, if they've had the Ark of the Covenant by now, they would have done something with it that would have been obvious to us. But we know it's a power source. It's a power generator for a very advanced technology. Probably the same technology. Well, it's an energy technology. It's an energy technology that can also probably bend space-time and also be used as a transportation device, a Stargate, to go from one place to another. But it also would be a source of, probably free energy, the rest of this stuff. The power to enslave mankind or to set it free. That's really what these people have had in their hands for the longest time. And, oh man, that just makes so much sense. That's what they were going to the moon and looking for in the first place. That's why Buzz Aldrin and some of those guys claim that we were warned off of the moon, warned not to come back. Well, warned by who? I think we're getting into the heart of what the space race was really all about. Because if you think about it, that's exactly where Hitler and Nazi Germany were headed. And probably what happened, considering that, there's tons and tons of pictures of Hitler with popes and, the Maltese cross, blah, blah, blah. They're all one and the same there. But that's, it's probably one of the reasons why they decided to pull the plug on Hitler. It's widely known that he was funded by the powers that be, but just like Saddam Hussein, when he started getting, too much power with these antiquities and revealing too much from these Sumerian and Babylonian artifacts, they had to pull the plug on their agent. And that's exactly what they did to Hitler. So what do? Well, we create Project Paperclip, and we bring all these paperclip Nazis all these top scientists that were all working on Hitler's program. I mean, it's admitted that they wanted to create a fleet of UFOs. They built prototypes of them. BMW made the engines. You've heard about secret Nazi bases on the moon and all that. Well, what was Hitler doing? He had his people going all over the Middle East and Iraq and Iran looking for these artifacts. I mean, you all saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, or the Nazis are looking for it and all that stuff. That really happened. So I believe that through Hitler's studying of the ancient Sumerian texts and some of the stuff that he found on the expeditions that he sent in those areas, looking for the link to the original Aryan people, I think that he got his hands on the whereabouts of the Ark of the Covenant and the knowledge of that being on the moon, and was getting ready to create his space program to go there and get it and assume total control. And that's when our agents in the CIA and our agents in the know inside of Nazi Germany pulled the plug on that, sent in the Americans to clean up, get all these boys' records scraped away where it says ardent Nazi and get that marked out and have not an ardent Nazi put on there. And boom, the next thing you know, America, who couldn't get a rocket off the ground, all of a sudden overnight has this fucking amazing space program where we're leading the space race and we're going to be the first to get to the moon. They didn't have a lot of time, and they sure as fuck didn't have time to show you when they got to the moon that what they were going to the moon for was to either look for something very specific or bring back something very specific. They were on a mission there. If I'm the only person that ever asked the question, why the fuck do we care about going to the moon? So we can be the first to say we went up there and we landed on it, we walked around, put the flag, and walked back? Who cares? There's a reason why. There's a reason why that was so important, because whoever found that after World War II was going to be, and found out the location of it, was going to be in power. Now it's all up for grabs. So we'll take a break, come back, and we'll get into reading out of the Lost Book of. Back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Going to get back into our reading of Lost Book of Enki here in just a bit. We're going to get into a few emails. Just have a couple here to get into tonight. Again, my website is theglobalreality.com. There at the website, theglobalreality.com. You'll find a chip-in banner for our, what you just heard there on a little spot. Our 4-year anniversary fundraiser. This is our 4-year anniversary of broadcasting this month, and it's coming up on Monday. You have suggestions for guests. We have a couple in so far. If you'd like to hear me have on for people who've had on in the past, or people just like to hear me have on for that, please email me, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And, we're trying to get raise some cash so we get some new and better equipment to be able to continue our work and do it in a bigger and better way. And everything's sort of, old and wearing out over here. So we don't have $250,000 money bombs. I don't have a bunch of fucking employees to pay and all that shit. It's a one-man operation. I do it all, and I can't do it without your support. And we have our support's been rather slim over the past few weeks. And not just for that, but just in general. So we really need your help right now. Please make a donation at my website, legaloreality.com. Use the donate button, the chip-in banner there. We have P.O. Box also, the P.O. Box is probably not going to be around much longer. I'm going to tell you right now, because it has not been worthwhile. I mean, I had 5 or 7 or 8 different people say, they're sending thousands of dollars in checks and support, and never do it. Once I got the P.O. Box. So, probably we're not going to be having that once we got it. I don't know. I think it paid for 3 months or something like that. I think once that 3 months is up, we're not going to be doing that anymore. Cause we haven't had anything. I mean, I have to pay for that. And, just like when I got phones, I knew it was going to happen. People bitching and moaning, you have phones, you got to have phones, you got to take calls. And then nobody would ever call into the show. It's just ridiculous. So, There you go. There's that. Please donate if you can. This is what I do. This is my work. This is my life's work. This is my great work. Whatever you want to call it. This is it. But just like everything, unfortunately, it requires these goddamn Federal Reserve notes. So I just need your help right now in this month specifically to take this to a new level. So please help out. I need help just to live right now, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Here's one from Mark. He says, is it me or the elites widening of the debate perimeters can now allow games like Assassin's Creed to be put out and confuse people on the Hashishin described in the Gods of Eden as some noble organization? Am I correct on how this trend has picked up in recent years alongside the series 2012 Doomsday Plot? Debate perimeters to put out to confuse people on the Hashishin I suppose. I mean, yeah. I mean, why not? Though they were said to be descendants of the extraterrestrials as well. So, you know, like everything else, stand to reason they want to put spin and disinfo on it. So, yeah, I'd say you're correct. There you go. Hope it helps. This one from Sean. He says, hi, Josh. The other day I was talking to my dad about the Knights of Malta after listening to your show, and my dad told me that he used to work with a gentleman that was a part of the Knights of Malta. He worked with this man 25 years ago while he was the VP of a small oil exploration company based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Part of his job for the company was to fly over to Africa and buy diamonds and do some of the managerial and accounting. He always thought it was weird that he was trading diamonds working for an oil company, but he was making good money and liked the exciting work. Well, you know, it goes hand in hand. Carbon drilling. That's why they call it carbon drilling, you know. One of the people he would fly over to Africa with was a Knight of Malta named Count de Griffin. One day the Count of the owner of the company, for some reason, pissed off, or I don't know. I think there's a missing word there. The owner of the company then asked my dad to break into the Count's office and go through his stuff. Inside the office was a big briefcase, which my dad pried open. Inside the case was an arsenal of guns that were encased in Vaseline. Whoa, so you can't get fingerprints on them? The Count, after finding out about his guns being taken, freaked out on my dad, who decided he better give him his guns back. The owner of the company died not long after the incident, and the company was shut down. My dad has all kinds of other weird stories about the Count and this company he worked for. I think the company had some type of connection to the CIA, but who knows? I just thought you might find this interesting. Sorry I don't have any more details. Next time I talk to my father, I will try to get some info. Well, that's amazing. I wonder where Sean is now. Sean, are you in Oklahoma now? You should let me know. Maybe next time I come to Oklahoma, we can meet up. I can interview you or something on tape. Tell us that story. That's pretty rad. So thanks for that. Tom says, I would love to hear you interview Jason Lewis. He's new on GCN. Now, I won't be interviewing anybody from GCN. I'll go ahead and let you know that, first and foremost. But he's been on air for a long time, even filling in for Mush Windblow in the past. He calls himself Mr. Right, but I think it's because he never admits he's wrong. Love to see you call him for what he is. And from what I can see, he still believes in the Republican Party, even giving praise to Governor Rick Perry. It's also my guess that he also believes the official story of 9/11. Well, that's I'm not going to have that. I have no interest in getting on clowns like that. I'm not going to get up here and do, WWF crap. You're dumb, stupid Republican. Burp, burp. You're a dumb conspiracy theorist. He'll call me or whatever. You know, I'm just not going to do that. But I'll tell you this. If you look, I mean, that tells me all I need to know about the guy. I've never heard of this guy, but you told me first off he's on GCN, which automatically says, you know, can't trust that rat. Number two, he's filled in for Mush Winblow. I'm assuming is Rush Limbaugh. There's another connection. And yet another CMP connection. GCN has CMP connections out the ass. And he's praising Governor Perry and believes the official story. Yeah, I want to have people on the show where it's going to be about information and about getting information for it. I'm not interested in having some clown on and, you know, having a mudslinging session. That's just not my style. It never has been my style. Never will be. I know it makes for great radio. It's just not my style. Thanks, though. Here's another one from Sean. He says, I was wondering if you could go over some information about Lyndon LaRouche. I know they're big in the Patriot Ron Paul movement. Lots of people who are connected to him, like Webster Tarpley. Who is Lyndon LaRouche, and what role does Lyndon LaRouche organization have in the Patriot movement? You know, what is their long-term agenda objective? Do they have any connection to the CMP, Jesuits, Knights of Malta? From what I understand, Lyndon LaRouche is so goddamn crazy the CMP won't even touch him with a 50-foot pole. But they're right-wing socialists. You go, huh? Right-wing socialists? I thought socialists were left-wingers. You would think, but there actually is a contingency of right-wing socialists. And Tarpley is one. He is a LaRoucheite. He used to host a TV show called The LaRouche Perspective. But just do your own research on that. Find out for yourself. Also, what do you think of Jeff Rentz? What do you think his agenda is? I think Jeff Rentz is of the same cloth that Alex Jones is. Just another end. You know, deflect, look over here. Give you some good info and a lot of other disinfo. I think all that stuff with Jeff Rentz and Alex Jones was staged. LaRouche and all that, yeah, they're right wing left, they're right wing socialists. They're working for which means they're working for the same socialist masters that the CMP and the CFR and everybody else is. That's my point. It's another group and another category for people to fall into. Another ideology that just takes you right back to the same ideology you were already at before. That's what they are. They're just another trap set for you to fall in. Understand this, the Fabian socialists control all of these think tanks. That's the arm that the priest class and the Rothschilds and the Vatican uses to control the think tanks that control their overall agenda. Tavistock is involved in that very heavily. Royal Institute of International Affairs, CFR, Council for National Policy, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, all extensions of the Fabian socialists. And by the way, the Fabian socialist logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing. What a better way to describe these people, especially ones in the CMP. The classic wolves in sheep's clothing, they claim to be telling you the truth and claim to be, setting you on this righteous path, but yet what they're doing is making sure that things steer back the way that they want them to. That's it. Here's one from Chad. We got one from Chad last week. I answered a question for him about the Tetragrammaton Yahweh. He says, thanks for the lead on the Tetragrammaton information. I have yet to do anything but scratch the surface of it. Stitchin does mention Yahweh in the End of Days and the Return to the Anunnaki. Maybe that should be the next book you read on your show and in other books of his. But he does not pinpoint it to one character. It seems it is in Lil wanting to destroy mankind in the deluge, and Enki wanting to save them with the ark. It almost seems that he was afraid to narrow it down. My grandparents are Mormon, and they spend most of their retirement traveling the country, visiting different cities' archives and graveyards to pray some ritual over grave to save people after they have died. Yeah, Chad. You are aware of what that is, aren't you? Because if you're not, I'm about to blow your fucking mind. And this is honest to God truth. You can look this up and verify this. I had this verified to me by a person who was Mormon several years ago. That, Chad, is something that scares the shit out of me. And I have a strong opposition to it. And you should too. Your grandparents should too. I don't give a damn if they are Mormon. They're called baptisms of the dead. There was a story that came out, I think, in 2006 or 2007, where the Mormon Church got caught doing these baptisms of the dead on Nazis. And from what my understanding of this is, what they're doing is they are baptizing people, saving people, and bringing them into the Mormon religion after death against their will. Chad, have you ever thought or wondered why the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, keeps the most extensive records on family genealogy and bloodlines on the planet? That's a fact. You ever thought there'd be a correlation between that fact and the fact that they go around to people's graves and do a ritual? Chad, Mormonism was set up to practice Freemasonry in secret. And Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, and also Charles Taze Russell, who set up the Watchtower Society, the Jehovah's Witnesses, are part of the bloodline, the Merovingian bloodline that connects back to the Levite tribe of Israel. The Levites have been responsible for creating every major and had a hand in every major world religion all over the planet. So this descendant of the Levite tribe sets up Mormonism as a front to practice Freemasonry in secret. Another fact verified by me by a person who was Mormon, because he was having his mind blown because I was describing all this Freemasonry stuff to him, this guy I worked with, and he was saying, Josh, that's our whole religion. The whole religion of the Mormon Church is set up on degrees, and there's degrees of it that you ascend to in different levels. There's pentagrams all over the temple in Salt Lake City, Utah. I have pictures of it, man. There's pentagrams, literal pentagrams all over it. It's it goes back. It has its roots in the same roots that all other religions have. But this idea of baptizing people into a religion against their will after they're dead, combined with the fact that they keep these extensive genealogical records, I can't believe nobody's asking any questions about that up to this point. That's pretty scary. You mean nobody else out there has ever asked that question but me? Why are they doing these baptisms? You know, and that guy that said that, the guy that told me that, the Mormon guy, said, Josh, I've probably done it on your family members. But how would you ever know? Someone doing a ritual over another person, bringing them into a religion against their will after death, that just sounds sick to me. Whether it's real or it's true or it's not, the fact is they're doing it. So, wow, Chad. So your grandparents do baptisms of the dead. Wow. Do they wear the magic Mormon underwear too? Is it your, I'd be interested to know, Chad, these are your maternal grandparents or paternal grandparents? I'd be interested to know that. Because if it's your, you know, if it's in your bloodline, buddy, well, I'm sorry. But he says that most of my family are related to my family in some way. Oh, the people that they've done the baptisms are okay. Most of them relate to your family in some way. Found out through the genealogical record. Recently, they came down for a visit, and we watched some Ancient Aliens episodes. My grandfather said that he has read Eric von Daniken's book a long time ago, and that he indeed believes that we, mankind, were created by another outside race, the Elohim. I opened up with a bastardized version of the Sumerian tablets and told him that I will buy him a Zechariah Sitchin book about the subject. I would like to get your opinion on what you think a good starter book would be to broach the subject. Are there any other authors you would recommend? And also, what is your thought on Mormonism practices and beliefs? I think I covered that one. Mormonism practices and beliefs. I think I covered that. I think a great place to start is William Bramley, The Gods of Eden. Start him there. That's a great one. Both of these, these shows that I've done, to me are, with William Bramley, Gods of Eden, and now the Lost Book of Eden. I mean, both of those are, maybe we'll get into some of the other ones. What was the one you said I should read? The Return of the Anunnaki. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Let's see. But there you go, Chad. All right, that's all the emails we got tonight. Thanks to everybody for sending those in. Let's get into our reading here tonight. Now, this is the account of the prophecy by Galzu given to Enlil in a vision about Marduk's supremacy and how man chose to survive a calamity. After Marduk became Amun, as in Amun-Ra, Amen-Ra, the monotheistic sun god of Egypt, who brought about the one God system that all religions are based on to this day, kingship in the major religions, kingship in the second region disintegrated, disorder and confusion reigned. After Agade was wiped out, in the first region there was disorder, confusion reigned. In the first region, kingship was in disarray. From cities of gods to cities of man, it moved about. Unag-Ki, Lagash, Urim, and Kish, Isin, and to faraway places, kingship was shifting. Then Enlil consulted with Anu and deposited the kingship in the hands of Nanar. To Urim, in whose soil the divine heavenly bright object remained implanted, kingship was granted for the third time. In Urim, a righteous shepherd of men, Nanar as king was appointed. Ur-Namu was his name. Like the name of the area, Ur. Equity in the lands Ur-Namu established. He made an end to violence and strife in all lands. Prosperity was abundant. It was at that time, in the nighttime, that Enlil had a dream vision. The image of a man appeared to him, bright and shining like the heavens he was. As he approached and stood by Enlil's bed, Enlil recognized the white-haired Galzu. In his left hand, a tablet of lapis lazuli he was holding. The starry heavens were designed on it. By the 12 constellation signs, the heavens were divided. To them, with his left hand, Galzu pointed. From the bull to the ram, Galzu shifted his pointing finger. 3 times the pointing he repeated. Then, in the dream vision, Galzu spoke up to Enlil and said, "The righteous time of benevolence and peace by evildoing and bloodshed will be followed. In 3 celestial portions, the ram of Marduk, the bull of Enlil will replace. One who himself has declared as a supreme God will seize supremacy on earth. A calamity that has never before occurred by fate decreed will happen. As at the time of the deluge, a righteous and worthy man must be chosen. By him, his seed will preserve civilized mankind as by the Creator of all intended to be preserved. So did Galzu, the divine emissary, say to Enlil in the dream vision. When Enlil from the nighttime awakened from the dream vision, there was no tablet beside his bed. Was it an oracle of heaven, or did it all in my heart? Did I all in my heart imagine it? Enlil wondered to himself. To none of his sons, Nannar among them, did Enlil tell of the dream vision he had had. Among the priests in the Nibiru Key temple of celestial savants, Enlil inquired. Tirhu, an oracle priest, indicated him to the high priest. Of Ibru of Abarkad, the grandson, he was descended. 6th generation of Nibiru Key priests he was. With the royal daughters of Urim's, they were intermarried with the kings. Get yourself to Nannar's temple in Urim and observe the heavens for the celestial time. 72 earth years is the count of a celestial portion. The passage of 3 thereof record carefully. So did Enlil say to Tahiru the priest. He made him count the prophesied time. While Enlil pondered the portents of the dream vision, Marduk went from land to land. Yeah, he's going around setting himself up as shop, setting himself up as a god everywhere. Amun-Ra over here, Quetzalcoatl over here. He's going around setting up shop everywhere. Of his supremacy, he was telling the people to gain followers was his purpose. In the lands of the Upper Sea, in the lands of the Ki-Engi border, Nabu, Marduk's son, was inciting the people. To seize the 4th region was his plan. Between the dwellers of the west and the dwellers of the east, clashes were occurring. Kings of hosts of warriors formed. Canvas ceased going, and the walls of cities were raised. What Galzu had foretold indeed is happening, Enlil said to himself. Upon Tiru and his sons descended a worthy lineage, Enlil set his gaze. This is the man to choose, by Galzu indicated, Enlil said to himself. To Nannar, without revealing the dream vision, Enlil thus said to his son, in the land between the rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, ancient Mesopotamia, Arbakad had come. Establish a city like Urim. A home abode away from Urim, let it be for you and Ningo. In its midst, establish a temple shrine. And appoint the priest Prince Tirhu to be in charge thereof. By his father's words abiding, Nannar in the land of Arbakad, the city of Haran, established. To be high priest in its temple shrine, Tirhu he sent. His family he sent with him. When 2 celestial portions out of the prophesied 3 were completed, Tirhu went to Haran. At that time, Ur-Nammu, the joy of Urim in the western lands, fell from his chariot and died. On the throne of Urim was his son Shulgi, who succeeded him, full of bile and eager for battles. Shulgi was. In Nibiru Key, he anointed himself high priest. In Unag Key, he sought the joys of Anana's vulva. Straight up with it right there. Yeah. So this is Mr. Big Nuts, what we ought to call him. Shulgi. S-H-U-L-G-I, Shulgi. Shulgi comes in and is like, all right, let's fuck some shit up. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I want to fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you. I want to fight, I want to fight, I want to fight. Fuck you, fuck you. I'm going to get me some of Anana's vulva. He sought the joys of Anana's vulva. That's going to be my new pickup line. Excuse me, miss. Hi, how you doing? I'm seeking the joys of your vulva. I want to go back to my place. You might actually get some with that one. A chick would probably be so thrown off. I'm interested in the joys of your vulva. Yeah, you think you might be interested in that? Warriors from the mountain lands, not beholden to Nanar, in his army he enlisted. With their help, he overran the western lands, and he ignored the sanctity of the Mission Control Center. In the sacred fourth region, he set his foot. He declared himself king of the four regions. About the defilements, Enlil was angered. He spoke to Enki about the invadings. The rulers of your region have exceeded all bounds, Enki said bitterly to Enlil. Of all the troubles, Marduk is the fountainhead, Enlil retorted to Enki. Still, the dream vision, keeping to himself, Enlil turned his attention to Nirhu. Upon Ibiru, the eldest son of Tirhu, Enlil cast the choosing gaze. A princely offspring, valiant and with priestly secrets acquainted, Ibram was. Ibram was. This is where I think Abraham came from. Ibram. So he was a priest that was familiar with priestly secrets that came from the Anunnaki. Funny how it's always those types that set up religions, isn't it? I'm not totally convinced. You talked about Mormonism. I'm not totally convinced that. That is what Joseph Smith claimed. He had what you would call a spiritual, like an extraterrestrial experience. Yeah, and he was chosen as the one to bring those out because of his bloodline, because he was of that bloodline that came from the Anunnaki. That's why he was chosen to bring it out. All religions are like this, folks. All religions of the world come from these people. To protect the sacred places, enable the chariots' ascents and descents, Enlil commanded Ibram to go. No sooner did Ibram from Haran depart than in that city Marduk arrived. The defilements he too had observed. As birth pangs of a new order, he deemed them. From Haran, on the threshold of Shumer, his final thrust he planned. From Haran, at the edge of Ishkur's domain situated, he directed the raising of armies. When 24 earth years of his sojourn had passed in Haran, Marduk made a tearful appeal to the other gods or whomever else had descended. Confessing his transgressions, but insisting on his lordship, he said to them thus, O gods of Haran, O great gods who judge, learn my secrets. As I girdle my belt, my memories I remember. I am the divine Marduk, a great god. In my domains I am known as Ra. For my sins to exile I went. To the mountains I have gone, in many lands I have wandered. From where the sun rises to where the sun sets, I went. To the land of Ishkur I came. 24 years in the midst of Haran I nested. An omen in its temple I sought. Until when? About my lordship, an omen in the temple I asked. Your days of exile are completed, to me the oracle in the temple said. O great gods who determine the fates, let me set my course to my city. My temple Esagil has an everlasting abode to establish, a king in Babili install. To my temple house, let all the Anunnaki gods assemble and accept my covenant. So did Marduk, confessing and appealing, announce to the other gods his coming. By his appeal for their submission, the Anunnaki gods were disturbed and alarmed. To a great assembly, take counsel, Enlil summoned them all. All the Anunnaki leaders in the Nibiru Key gathered. Enki and Marduk's brothers also came. They were all agitated about the happenings and opposed to Marduk and Nabu. They all were. In the council of the great gods, accusations were rampant. Recriminations filled the chamber. What is coming, no one can prevent. Let us accept Marduk's supremacy, Enki alone counsel. If the time of the ram is coming, let us deprive Marduk of the bond of heaven and earth. Enlil proposed in anger. So they're saying he's got the bond of heaven and earth. He's got control of the Stargate. So they're saying, let's take that away from him. To obliterate the place of the celestial chariots, all except Enki agreed. To use, therefore, the weapons of terror that Nergal suggested, only Enki was opposed. Of the decision, Earth to Anu pronounced the words. Anu to Earth repeated the words. What was destined to be by your decision to undo will fail, so did Enki say as he departed. The evil thing to carry out Ninurta and Nergal were selected. So that's the area where they're talking about using this weapon of terror, a nuclear weapon. They're talking about using that in the area where Ra was empowered, and that was the area of Egypt. And it's interesting that out there in the desert we have all this yellow glass that the Egyptians later used to carve out scarabs and things out of. It does indicate there was some sort of high energy intense blast in that area. 307, page 307 now. This is the account of how fate did lead to destiny. 307. So that's where we're going to be picking up at next time on the broadcast. I want to thank everybody for being with us here tonight for the show. My website is theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. Again, there is we have the donate button there that you can use for any amount, up to $10,000 a day. I think it is. You can use it up there. But we need some support right now in a big way, folks. We need support to buy new gear. I got to have support just to live and survive. And it's just been nil and slim over the past couple of weeks. So, I mean, we're in need of help. Please help us out if you can. TheGlobalReality.com, shipping banner, donate button, and P.O. Box if you can't use PayPal. My name's Josh Reeves. I love you all. Take care.